And there it is. You know, it's very convenient. This is the Metra station for the entire Western United States. No, not seriously. Okay. And now we go pay for parking and then we go that way. When I saw Amtrak offered a Tomah to Pittsburgh itinerary with a guaranteed connection in Chicago, I bought it expecting to actually start the trip here as the third likely outcome after either actually getting an on-time first leg with the eastbound Empire Builder or number two, the entire train getting canceled due to the frequent delays from severe heat and weather and freight congestion this summer 2026. Today we're in Harvard, Illinois, and we're going to Atlantic City. It wasn't supposed to start this way. The Empire Builder is over 3 hours late. Why'd they even let me buy a ticket on that? Like, it was never gonna have a hope of connecting, right? Even under the best circumstances, this month's been really bad. So we drove from Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin, here to Harvard, Illinois. We're gonna pick up Metra's UP Northwest line all the way into Ogilvie. Get ready to go on the Floridian tonight to Pittsburgh. It's the start of the trip out to the East Coast. As it turns out, the first train on our schedule today was merely late enough to trigger Amtrak to offer me a free change of itinerary on my basic fare if I didn't want to wait out their over 3 hour late Train 8 on its third day of travel east from Seattle. Doing that would have meant I'd miss a chance to ride Metra's UP Northwest line and enjoy all the weekenders having very Chicago-esque conversations for 2 hours from Harvard to Chicago. There even was a tourist from South Africa sitting across the aisle from us as well. But it was plenty crowded, likely the second most crowded Metra train I've had the pleasure of taking. My teenager tolerated it pretty well. After all, we were just out to go to the Atlantic Ocean, and actually not take a Metra train. It was definitely an ocean trip. But I had a good time anyway. But eventually we were delivered unto Ogilvie Transportation Center and out towards Clinton Station on the Lake Street elevated line, which was the subject of a previous video of mine. Today we're just awaiting a loop-bound train. So without the Empire Builder to get us to Chicago, we took Metra. Now we have 2 hours before boarding begins for the Floridian. We're taking the Floridian, which used to be the Capital Limited, and we're going to get off in Pittsburgh just like we did in one of my first sets of videos. However, this time we're going in coach because to go first class would have been over $900. We want to enjoy coach seats while we still can before they become more slimline. I just really hope, as usual, there's nobody loud and nobody smelly tonight. We'll get some daylight on the train even, but if it's too late, we might end up having to divert to DC. We'll see. My glasses are really slipping down now. The trip around the loop this time didn't include State and Lake Station, which is closed for a few years to build some big new thing. We headed south to Roosevelt, where I took advantage of Jewel Osco's shopping cart to relieve me of my beach gear duffel bag, and my teenager and I picked up some snacks that would last us until Philly tomorrow afternoon, where Wawa would return to save our summer vacation. After that, we walked over to sit beside Lake Michigan at a spot I just found out I have an antique postcard illustrating. This Saturday in the Park in Chicago is a classic rock title whose lyrics would completely apply for the trip we're about to take. We are now stocked up with oranges, blackberries, saltine crackers, chocolate croissants, and a variety of flavored waters, and one energy drink if all else fails. That's what we've got to get us over to Philadelphia tomorrow. We could have taken the Empire Builder and then we would have been stuck here for a day. That would have allowed us to have a free stay here, but we would have only had 1 day in Atlantic City then. The Empire Builder going out is a 5-day ordeal where it starts in Chicago, goes to Seattle, and then comes back the same day it arrives in Seattle. And it had been so late, it was a miracle they turned the train the time they did, but it still did not get to Tomah early enough to get us on the train to get to the Floridian, which we're going to be doing next. And we brought pillows this time several pillows, and they are in a huge duffel bag that we have now filled with more water and fruits, and it's a workout, and Coach is going to feel real nice until it doesn't. US Highway 41, Lakeshore Drive. Amtrak was the cheapest travel option to the East Coast, at only $160 after the Empire Builder refund and an annual free companion fare coupon from my Guest Rewards MasterCard. It easily beat airfares of several $100s more. Taking the Borealis train from Tomah would have required another $100 or more spent on lodging, making this mad dash to the Windy City our best option. See, if anything delays our Floridian train, we will have to modify the trip when we come around Pittsburgh. If we're too late to catch the Pennsylvanian because the Floridian's running late through the night, then yep, it's an early morning phone call for me to change that. Last time we went out there, it was just, and the ending was ridiculous. We didn't plan to be in St. Louis, but we did the last time we went out to Atlantic City because of flight cancellation. Never try to go from Jacksonville to New Orleans to MSP. Just trains and a van parked in Harvard, Illinois. That's the way to go. The Floridian is Amtrak's temporary combination of two trains I've previously taken that have been suspended for different reasons. The Capital Limited from Chicago to DC needed its bi-level superliner coaches used on Western long-distance trains, and the Silver Star, a very popular New York to Miami route, was scuttled for several years to accommodate East River Tunnel construction in New York. I alluded to the Floridian in my video where I rode the Capital Limited eastbound in its final weeks. Just as with the Empire Builder, this new Floridian train runs a 2-night, 3-day route that is prone to cascading delays the further it goes. Not a problem for us beginning at the eastbound origin city today, but problematic for folks down the line in DC, the Carolinas, and Florida hoping to ride the rails. Oh, enter on Clinton Street? Oh, you said enter on the Madison Street entrance on the other way, so we walk directly into the line, right? That's what they said, right? See, one way or another, I was gonna walk the north gates today, even without an Empire Builder over there. I'm gonna bet that the line for the Floridian is starting just through this hallway. Oh, I think that's the start of it. Told ya. Yep. Jump the line a bit. We are much further up than we would usually be, considering just half hour ago we were down by the lake. Pier Marquette line over there. I have no doubt it'll feel full at some point, but this might be a very short overall line. Pier Marquette on the left, Floridian on the right. Oh, thank goodness we arrived so very early. Needs a new number. This is a long train. A baggage car follows 3 Viewliner sleepers, one of which is a Series 2, and a newer dining car that serves traditional dining meals plated on board. To Pittsburgh was over $900 in a roomette, and 2 nights to Florida cost nearly $2,000. Don't even ask what a full bedroom costs. Ahead of that are Amfleet 2 type cars, a cafe, and 4 coaches running after 2 locomotives. Pittsburgh, front of the train. Front of the train. All right, we hopped again. We're gonna get the horn tonight. The Bud-built coaches from the 1980s are the thrifty option that are seeing a ridership spike thanks to higher than average fuel costs across the country. Anywhere in the oodles of space for crackers. Though we won't get to lie flat, coach seats are manageably restful for most people. I'm a very light sleeper, so I go with a sleep mask and try to exhaust myself with a lot of walking prior to boarding and no caffeine prior to overnight coach trips. When you have plenty of recline in these superbly padded seats and you're traveling with someone familiar, it's fairly easy to get comfortable, especially considering the savings from a low fare and not spending anything on a hotel for part of your trip. One button for recline and one to release the leg rest. That's as good as a hotel for me. Bon voyage, Pierre Marquette. We're scheduled a bit over 10 hours to Pittsburgh. If we're more than 2.5 hours late, we may miss our connection there to the Pennsylvanian train to Philly. This train continues on to DC and then heads south on the Silver Stars route to Savannah, Tampa, and finally Miami. It's typically the cheapest Amtrak itinerary to Philly, given the early wake-up and layover in Pittsburgh. From 1971 to 1979, Amtrak ran a different route under the Floridian name. That train ran from Chicago, initially out of the old Chicago Central Station, nearby where we were beside the lake today, south down the Illinois Central route to Kankakee, and then over to Lafayette, Indiana. From there, it serves stations including Louisville, Kentucky, Nashville, Tennessee, and Birmingham, Alabama, before running a different route down to Miami as well as St. Petersburg after splitting the train in Orlando. That route's trackage was very poor quality back in the 70s, with slow speeds thanks to it falling out of favor with freight railroads over the years. After 1979, most trains to Florida shifted east onto the routings Amtrak and freight companies use today. We'll be on former Pennsylvania Railroad trackage, now owned by Norfolk Southern, the same route I recently took to Cleveland, Ohio. We'll make a stop there a couple hours prior to the Lakeshore Limited train that I took. After Cleveland, our train proceeds to Pittsburgh and then through the Appalachian Mountains to Washington, D.C. Amfleet 2 coaches have 2 restrooms per car. This is the accessible one, big enough to serve as a changing room. This one was well serviced, worn from many trips, but serviceably clean and good smelling. This is the second place coach passengers can occupy during their travel. Don't forget to lock the door when you enter. This 2-night timetable seems impressive, but rarely runs on time after the first night. Such is why many devoted Amtrak riders, myself included, would prefer to see the Capital Limited return to serve this route after construction in New York finishes on the tunnels, hopefully in the 2030s. I think the equipment swap to single level on this route is acceptable, as most of the route is tree-lined or takes place overnight, nothing lost visually. An obvious improvement would be to add a daytime train between Chicago and Pittsburgh to allow Ohio cities to have conveniently timed options for rail travel. When Amtrak receives its new Aero train sets from Siemens for East Coast operations, train cars like ours should be able to keep running this route with proper upkeep. Bud don't break, as they say. But it's inevitable that the new equipment would be needed someday, and I think the expenses of the options afforded us on this trip today show why Amtrak needs a choice between coach and sleeper car fares. People do pay over $1,000 to sleep flat on these overnight trips, but an elevated coach option like the solo suites teased in Amtrak's recent request for design proposals concept video would be a great revenue driver. Wow. Food service in the cafe car is a money source too. Amtrak consistently gets my dollars for this typically awesome Asian noodle bowl. My teenager's all-beef hot dog looks like a great option too, even from the microwave. The cafe car offers a third place for coach passengers to occupy on board, an amenity I wish would return to Borealis in the form of a cross-country cafe, if Beech Grove Shops can get a couple of those cars out of mothball status. But our being the first to the cafe car in this 2-night train apparently didn't leave enough time for my cold salad to thaw out. My bad. Good thing there's a few more hours of daylight for it to be less of a food cube. The cookie, as with all of Amtrak's sweeter snacks, is a delectable hit. On our next train, there's another sweet snack, a new one that I'm very anxious to purchase. Watch the next video soon to come out of this trip to see just what it might be. And listen at the end of this one for a preview of what that's going to be. On the walk back up through the coaches with passengers bound for stops beyond DC, there was one car that had a pungent sewage smell. Glad we're not spending the night there.
Yeah, that one really smells. Blackberries? Yes.
Bringing your own food aboard an Amtrak train is always a good idea. May they never curtail that from passenger amenities.
We need to wake up like 4:30 a.m. just to be ready to get off. We might be early. 5:05 is the scheduled arrival. I guess we're going to split an energy drink because, you know, that's enough caffeine for 2 people, maybe 3. Nothing's going to be open in Pittsburgh in the morning because it's Sunday morning. No, church doesn't happen at 5 a.m.
Are you sure?
Yeah. I mean, maybe Pennsylvania Dutch is different.
As for coach, I'd be sad to see a less padded coach seat option, but efficiency and capacity are what could drive higher fare box recovery ratios for passenger rail, so I can understand the forces driving these Amfleet 2 cars toward retirement down the line. Realistically, the 2-night schedule of this train is not sustainable long-term. Folks in these Indiana and Ohio cities deserve better on-time performance. That they can say they have travel options to DC, New York, or Chicago should continue, but the option to get as far south as Miami is a bit gratuitous when you consider how much freight delays this train further south. Such is the American passenger rail system we've got, and it's not likely to change anytime soon. But Amtrak could mitigate its guest service failures of delays by returning to 1-day and 1-night schedules that are much more reliable.
Alright folks, on that station stop 1 southbound. Next station stop in just about 15 minutes will be Elkhart, Indiana. Again, just about 15 minutes for Elkhart, Indiana.
The changeover to the Eastern Time Zone in mid-June brings sunset in northern Indiana closer to 10 p.m. In the waning daylight, there's great views of farms as well as small towns. This route has seen a lot of passenger trains over the past decades. Small town residents, college students, and a sizable contingent of Amish and Mennonite folks regularly make trips to the East Coast and elsewhere via these overnight trains. The Floridian is Amtrak's only 2-night schedule east of Chicago, running from there to the coast. It works as a stopgap to accommodate infrastructure improvements, but I really hope the future lies with daylight running trains between Midwest cities. It's not that this is an unpleasant trip for the timetable offered. It's the delays to trains down the line that make Amtrak's reputation for service suffer, most notably on the Floridian, whether you're a rail fan or a casual passenger. For our return trip from Atlantic City, we'll be taking the more northerly Lakeshore Limited's westbound run out of New York Penn Station through upstate New York and back to Chicago on what should be a later timetable, but given the westbound Floridian typically runs several hours late on its second day of travel toward Chicago, we may very well beat it into Union Station in a handful of days. Stay tuned for how that trip goes.
Just about 45 minutes, we will be arriving at our next scheduled station stop, which is Waterloo, Indiana. Again, just about 45 minutes to Waterloo. And what that means, ladies and gentlemen, is all electronic devices may only be used with headphones. If you need to make a phone call, please make your way to the cafe card to do so. And please keep your conversation volume to a minimum. Again, during quiet hours, announcements will not be made, so if you do have a station stop between the hours of 10 p.m. and 7 a.m., don't worry. Conductors and coach attendants will be coming around just to wake you up and make sure you know which door to exit from. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, it is extremely important that you do not move seats throughout the night.
Time to settle in and try to get some sleep. We've got 7+ more hours of sitting comfortably on a train tomorrow aboard the Pennsylvanian to come. With a view of Toledo as our nightcap, we track just over an hour late through the night. Just long enough to keep me checking our status by phone every hour or so. With a back support pillow and another pillow aside me wedged against the wall, I got a few stretches of slumber, but considering my fascination with the experience of gliding through so many Ohio towns and cities overnight, it makes sense that I was bleary-eyed but semi-rested upon waking west of Pittsburgh. We've obviously made a geographic changeover to the hillsides surrounding the Steel City. The escalating grades aside the train mean we're headed toward the city with more bridges than any other in the world. So I've been told. For a Sunday morning, this train saw quite a few passengers embarking at Cleveland. This trip came concurrent with the World Cup of Football on the East Coast. The train to which we're connecting will be picking up folks for those events as well as general summer travel plans across Pennsylvania. So it's no wonder that our car here on the Floridian has quite a few folks alighting at the station downtown, between 3 legendary American rivers.
Have your wallets, phones, AirPods, phones, whatever you brought with you, any electronic items, make sure you have it with you.
Amtrak's Pittsburgh platforms used to host a slew of cross-country trains. Now it serves just 2 per day, our Floridian and the Pennsylvanian to Philly and New York, which is staged across the platform for boarding in less than an hour. The less time we have to spend in the pit that is Amtrak's modern waiting area here, the better.
Thank you for riding. Have a good one. Watch your step.
Thank you.
Thank you for riding. Watch your step.
All right, Pittsburgh. Not a bad sleep. Not really technically asleep, but better than nothing. Hey, it's our next train. Note how the business class car has small windows and a lot of seats. Oh, I wish I could see up in there if that's the butter cake menu. Wish I could peek. But coach class are Amfleet 2s with big windows and fewer seats. The mythical elevator. S. From TP to S.
Breakfast came from a Walmart in Lake Hallie, Wisconsin. Entertainment is ephemera from where we'll ride through in days to come. A stroll outside shows a corner of Pittsburgh's downtown, as well as the looming edifice of the former Penn Station, now turned into private condos against the backdrop of the meager offering Amtrak presently calls a station. As for our next train, it, like the route we just took, had historic context in my earlier videos. In the next video, we'll take a more casual look at the left side experience of Coach aboard the Pennsylvanian, to alight at Philly and head toward Atlantic City. Please like, share, and subscribe, and join me for the next trips. I'll see you then.